Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com joins Charlie Miller and myself right now. He was up in Fort Wayne at the Bill Hensley Run and Slam all weekend. Busy place, Kyler.
Yeah, no, it was the annual Bill Hensley Run and Slam this weekend. Pretty much takes over the entire Fort Wayne area. All the high schools up at Sports One, Turnstone, Speece Center, Speece Fieldhouse. Saw a lot of the better teams in the Midwest area. Pretty cool because you typically don't see like all the Adidas circuit teams, the EYBL teams, the Under Armour teams all in one area. So got to see some interesting matchups. Saw guys like Xavier Booker, Gabe Cupps, JQ Roberts, a lot of them.
Flory Badunga, Raleigh Burgess, Cooper
Yep.
Cook, Travis Perry, Kanan Cutchings, Jalen Harrison, Trellian Sisley. You mentioned Gabe Cupps, Rayvon Griffith, Reed Shepard, Makai Johnson, JQ Roberts, like you mentioned, Logan Imes, Jake Davis, so many names there. And JQ Roberts, I saw, had an unbelievable game, 20-point second half game. That shocks me because he's not been a big offensive guy to me. He's more of a defender or a rebounder.
No, yeah, like with JQ, I don't know what it is, but he seems to impress me every time I watch him live. He looks a lot more smarter on the floor than what I've seen in the past. And the game that I watched of his on Saturday, super explosive around the rim. That's where, I mean, when he got out in transition and his guards were able to find him, I mean, it was an easy bucket every time with him. So, I mean, freak athleticism and everything. You got to talk to him a little bit afterwards. He says Indiana still has a strong relationship with him and everything. But no, yeah, he had a really good weekend.
And it's kind of, you have to look to where he would fit in, but he's a 24 kid, right?
23
kid. Yeah, next year. So, well, there's no point even looking at that roster where people would fit in a year from now. That's crazy. We just finished up. We don't know where people fit in right now. But the transfer portal is closed. So there's that. Which I'm sure maybe some of these high school kids were happy to see. But anything stand out? Any performances really stand up this weekend?
I would probably say, specifically looking at the Gabe Cupps versus Xavier Booker matchup.
Gabe Cupps, of course, is a guard. Xavier Booker, a big man, 6'9", 6'10" guy.
So, yeah, obviously they weren't on each other a whole lot, but Xavier Booker looked really, really good that game. And at Cathedral during the high school level, he's a little bit limited on what he can do. You got to run that Cathedral offense and things. But, in the AAU, he's a lot more free. He can do what he wants. He's just a very, very skilled power forward. Stretches the floor well, really dominant down low, rim protector. He had a really good game. And from what I heard, he had a really good weekend as well. Gabe Cupps was another guy. He had a pretty good performance. Struggled in the first half a little bit, but the second half he started to take over a little bit. But when it came down to it, George Hill just had too many better pieces on their side of the ball.
Charlie, you participated in these endeavors when you were going through your Cage career early on before you became an All-American. It's what got you to an All-American, becoming an All-American. How important are these summers? Is this AAU circuit for these guys?
I would say now, I think it's very important because the opportunity is a lot more available. And compared to when I was coming up, it was more of an exclusive circuit. It was more of an invite only. It was limited as far as the teams. So you had an opportunity to meet people on the road, travel and play. And then I think from there, for me, in reflection, that's when I realized, okay, I can't compete across the nation against the best players in the country. That was a surprise to me up until that time. Now, I think, something I was going to ask Kyler, I think it's more almost expected from these guys because they get a chance to travel, as young as, here it is, this player you just talked about, not even thinking about being a prospect, a couple of years from now, but yet he's on the circuit getting interviewed. I didn't get interviewed until I think my freshman year. You know, it's like, a little tape recorder here or there, from someone giving you a statement. But it's this exposure is amazing. I'm tickled. I'm tickled that these kids have an opportunity to not only have the opportunity to play, but they also you said a couple of things I want to kind of highlight, Kyla. They also get a chance to learn how to play with poise and confidence and smartness. Versus for us, it was more you got to show your offensive skill. You got to show what you do. So it's sloppy sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. The cream of the rise, but these players now, they're used to getting on a plane. They're used to having an itinerary. They're used to playing against the best players. Like that puts you in a composed state of play to where your IQ can be off the charts when you do reach prep school, college, whatever it might be. So to me, I think that's the biggest advantage I see that I understand now as a player development coach.
And I noticed that Trent Sisley had a little issue with struggle with some size, which is a little surprising. Being big, he's a 6'7" dude, and with a nice body. But if we're talking about Flory Badunga, that's a different beast altogether.
Yeah, no, he struggled a little bit with the size.
But Flory Badunga is a big guy,
big dude, big guy. That's a name that you need to always start remembering.
Trent Sisley is not going to be expected to guard someone like that. I don't think.
I mean, Flory Badunga. I mean, it's just like when the ball's in his hands in the paint, it's almost like a magnet to the basket. It's just going to go in every time. Sisley did have a good weekend.
Is Badunga? Is there also even any point in us talking about Flory Badunga as far as his recruitment? From what I hear, he is locked down to a specific coach, if that is accurate.
That's what I'm hearing. I know last year Fife had watched him a little bit. Obviously, Fife's not there anymore. Flory did just get an offer from Bradley. So I don't know how much you want to read into that, but that's what I've heard. I've heard he's locked into somewhere. Where that is, don't know. It is also pretty hard to interview him and stuff like that because there is a language barrier with that and everything, so you can't really get a whole lot from him. But yeah, so that's as far as I know about his recruitment.
I was just curious how that is, but getting back to Trent Sisley, he's a 25 kid, so it's a ways off. And Charlie, it's sometimes it's like, why are we talking about a kid that's going to be a sophomore? And just like Jalen Harrison, the same thing, because they got 3 more years of high school ball. But both of these guys, Charlie, they're special players. One's a 6'7" wing. The other one is how tall is Harrelson? 6'3", 6'4".
6. I think he's 6'5". Yeah, 6'5".
6'5". And they look like freshmen in college. They just finished their freshman and high school seasons. They look like they just finished their freshman and college seasons. Harrelson is a point guard who looks kind of like a fullback, who can rise and get a shot off. And like I just talked about Trent Sisley, this kid, he's a 6'7" rangy wing who can rise up and nail and got good 3-point stroke. But they've got 3 more years of high school ball, which is amazing.
But that's my point. To me, you wouldn't hear about them until their junior year. And all of a sudden, they're probably 20 pounds more heavier and that much more better. Now the opportunity is just that more greater where you can hear about them and to know that they have so much more potential to reach, but the exposure they're getting, playing against the next players coming up. I mean, it's just going to position them so well that you just hope that they can be on your radar, and that we can see them wearing an Indiana Hoosiers uniform.
Kyler, coaches wise, was there any coaches out there this weekend?
No, it wasn't an official live period.
There you go.
Well, I take that back. There were Division II, Division III, NAIA, JUCO, all those schools were out, and everything, but it was not a official live period. But it was still, one of the more important weekends of the year, just because there's so many, media out there, and there are still some scouts watching and stuff. But no, it was not a live period, so no Division I head coaches out.
Anything come out of that this weekend? Anyone closer to a decision towards any place or anything that stood out to you?
I was able to talk to Xavier Booker a little bit. He looks like
He seems like that's been kind of tailing away from Indiana from all indications.
Yeah. I asked him what the relationship was like. He said it's still pretty strong right now. He said he's looking to make a decision probably sometime his senior year, which is coming up next year. But I don't know.
Yeah, I hear Michigan State pretty tight in on him.
Pretty tight. Yeah, and he also had mentioned that Notre Dame and Michigan are recruiting pretty hard as well. So, but yeah, everything that I've read, I've seen, it seems like Booker's going to Michigan State. If I had to put all my chips on the table.
Any surprises this weekend? I mean, there can't be hardly. It's hard. It's almost impossible for an unknown to pop up, but at an event like this. But sometimes guys that haven't really done a lot can have big games. JQ Roberts, big 20-point second half. That's to me, that's a big burst because I haven't seen him score much at all when I've seen him play.
Yeah, JQ was a big surprise. Another person that really stood out to me was Indiana elite guard Travis Perry, 2024. He's a point guard. Indiana just started. Sending out feelers that like, hey, we want to recruit you and things like that. Talked to him a little bit. He said Brian Walsh is starting to build that relationship with him. Really crafty and creative player. Loves to get into the lane, and if he can finish at the rim, he'll go for it. But if not, he's good about getting that pull-up mid-range jumper. Really good. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, Indiana will have Gabe Cupps in the 2024 year of 2024, but looking at like a backup point guard spot or something like that, Travis Perry could be an option there. They haven't officially offered him yet, but there is some interest starting to build there.